अस्सलामुअलैकुम। क्या हाल चाल हैं आप लोगों के? माशाल्लाह इधर तो काफ़ी रौनक हुई हुई है। व्हाट इवन इज़ अ एसिम्प्टोट? अच्छा, ये साहब पता नहीं शायद पूरे साल सो रहे थे। पेपर गंदा गया? अच्छा, S1 stream inshallah. When's S1? S1 is on the 16th, right? Let me check. So 300 to 90k. Yeah, inshallah. Let's hope this session we cross 100k. Let's hope so. 14th. अच्छा 14th को, चलो फिर भी टाइम है। 16th को फिर कौन सा? अच्छा नहीं, 16th को एड मैथ्स है। M1 inshallah today at 7 PM है या 7:30 PM है। Today inshallah we're doing momentum questions। फिर मैं inshallah इरादा है कुछ ईयरली कराने का, कुछ मॉक्स कराने का। M1 के भी मैंने कुछ मॉक्स लेने हैं, P1 के भी, P2 के भी मॉक्स लेने हैं, P2 P4 के। So वो inshallah कल से स्टार्ट है। आज most likely my team will have the mocks ready, so tomorrow inshallah. Sir, paper hard था, expectation for P2s. So basically the topics that haven't been tested in P1, okay, the topics that haven't been tested in P1 for O levels and the topics that haven't been tested in P2 for IGCSE, these are the topics that you can expect in the next paper. ठीक है, this is not a guess paper by any means. आप लोग डेटा उठा के देख लें। अगर कोई एक टॉपिक P1 में टेस्ट हो गया, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल वेक्टर्स, इफ वेक्टर्स इज टेस्टेड इन P1, इट्स चांसेस दैट वेक्टर्स विल नॉट बी टेस्टेड इन P2, ओके। सो द डेटा स्पीक्स फॉर इटसेल्फ। एंड अच्छा देखो, ASP1 का मेरे पास कोई अपडेट नहीं है। वेट फॉर द ऑफिशियल अनाउंसमेंट, सिंपल एज दैट। जी बिल्कुल, माई टीम इज़ कंपाइलिंग। मैंने इसीलिए वो वीडियो भी डाली थी आस्किंग यू गाइस व्हाट टॉपिक्स केम। सो उसमें से आई हैव टू सिफ्ट थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ कमेंट्स, अ लॉट ऑफ डेटा, एंड देन कुछ मैंने कंपाइल कर लिया है, कुछ इंशाल्लाह करूँगा कंपाइल। आज रात में इंशाल्लाह वीडियो आ जाएगी, ठीक है। सर बस बता दें फिर मैं जाऊँ। क्या बता दूँ बेटा? वैसे आप लोग खुद भी स्मार्ट हो। जो टॉपिक्स आपके P1 या P2 में आ गए हैं, वो टॉपिक्स जैसे सिमेट्री हो गया, सर्कल प्रॉपर्टीज़ आई हर्ड IGCSE के P2 में आ गया। सो उसमें P4 में आने के चांसेस नहीं है। That's how it works basically. Sir, is there going to be exclusive live? Yes, there will be a live for M1 inshallah at 7 या 7:15, right after Maghrib, so 7:15, okay, 7:15. Sir, out of 100 A star किस पर बेटा? Okay, threshold, all that stuff is meaningless. I mean, मैं अगर आपको कोई नंबर दे भी दूँ तो फिर उसके पीछे क्या गारंटी है कि वही होगा? तो ये डिबेट ना करें, ठीक है। और प्लीज़ ये ज़्यादा कैलकुलेशन भी ना करें कि सर मेरे इतने मार्क्स चले गए तो अब मैं कितना स्कोर करूं। भाई जो स्कोर करना था वो P1 में ही कर लेते अगर कर सकते होते तो, ठीक है। सो इट्स अ मीनिंगलेस डिबेट कि अब आप P2 में पूछ रहे हैं कि आप कितना स्कोर करें टू गेट इन A। सो भाई जब आपको पता था कि आपने P1 में अच्छा स्कोर करना है तो फिर आप नहीं कर सके ना, बिकॉज मे बी यू फाउंड समथिंग डिफिकल्ट, मे बी यू कुडंट सॉल्व अ सर्टेन क्वेश्चन। सो डोंट गिव योरसेल्फ दिस नंबर कि हाँ ये ज़रूर है दैट इफ़ लेट्स से you've lost, let's say 10-15 marks, then don't think that you've lost an A. Chances are you might still end up with an A, okay? So that I will say, that amount of motivation I can give you, but don't look for that because मेरे DM भरे में सर मेरे इतने मार्क्स जा रहे हैं, आप बताएं मैं कितनी के टारगेट करूं। तो it's meaningless really. Please take a stand with Sir Zain. Okay. So देखो, चलो जब M1 की स्ट्रीम होगी ना उसमें डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है। P1 से रिलेटेड जो भी बात है वो M1 की स्ट्रीम होगी इंशाल्लाह एट 7:15, उस पर डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है। अभी O लेवल्स के बच्चों को ज़रा तंग नहीं करते। अच्छा, एनीवे, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। बिफोर आई स्टार्ट आई वुड रियली अप्रिशिएट इफ़ यू गाइज सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल एंड ऑल्सो लाइक द स्ट्रीम इफ़ यू हैवंट डन दैट येट, ठीक है। नाउ लेट्स फोकस ऑन व्हाट वी आर डूइंग। यू गाइज डोंट वांट टू मेक मी म्यूट द चैट, ठीक है। अच्छा, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री 2D and 3D trigonometry hasn't been tested. So I'm expecting 2D and 3D trigonometry to be tested. I mean, it's, again, ये मैं कोई गेस पेपर नहीं दे रहा, ये कॉमन सेंस है। कोई भी टॉम डिक एंड हैरी आपको बता सकता है कि अगर P1 में एक टॉपिक नहीं आया तो you can expect that in P2, okay? So not exactly a guess paper by any means, just common sense basically. So we're going to start. We're going to solve some questions that have a bit of both, a bit of 2D and a bit of 3D. So I found a few questions. पता नहीं कहाँ चले गए. But chalo, let me find them again. So these PDFs, by the way, are uploaded. You can download them from the link in description. Okay. So let's start with this. Yeah, let's start with this. This covers a lot of stuff. Let's see what this says. Okay, this PDF, you'll find a link to it in the description. Can anyone confirm कि अगर ये है link में? हाँ बिल्कुल है. ठीक है. So this says ABCDE is a pentagon. Calculate AD and show that it rounds to 94.5 meters, correct to 1 decimal place. Okay, so we have to calculate AD, and not just that, we also have to show that it rounds to 94.5, correct to 1 decimal place. It's a 2-mark question. That means we probably don't have to do a lot of working. So let's see what AD is. AD is the opposite side. Okay, AD is the opposite side. This is the adjacent side. So what can we do? We can use sine. So sine of 64 is equals to opposite upon adjacent, which is 46.1. Okay, make sure that you guys reset your calculator. How can we find sine inverse? Beta, aap kya fayda? How can we find sine inverse without a calculator? ठीक है, अब जब करना था तब अगर नहीं हुआ तो आप कोई फायदा नहीं है. ठीक है. Anyway, so let's multiply sine of 64 with 46.1. So AD is equals to opposite over. अच्छा no, wait a minute, उल्टा कर दिया मैंने. Opposite over cos use करना है. Sorry, my bad. दिमाग नहीं चल रहा. Okay, let's do it again. So cos of 64 is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So now let's work out AD. So AD is equals to 46.1 divided by cos 64. So what do we get? Okay, I'm so sorry. आज मुझे लग रहा है मेरा दिमाग नहीं चल रहा. Okay, sorry. So tan of 64 is equals to opposite upon adjacent. So AD is equals to tan 64 multiplied by 46.1. Yep, finally we get the correct answer, which is 94.5. Okay. I am using the IGCSE wali file. Okay, I'm using the IGCSE Math trig. Okay. Because paper 2 and paper 4 are more or less the same. Up to khair paper 1 or paper 2 are the same now. Okay, but the concepts and the topics are also the same. Anyway, so then we have to find angle BAC. So what's angle BAC? Angle BAC is this. Always have a look at the marks. Okay, always have a look at the marks. This is a 3-mark question. The marks will tell you as to what kind of working you have to do. Now let's examine the triangle that we're going to use. This is the triangle that we're going to use. So we have a pair. Pair means that we have a length and we have the angle opposite to it. However, the angle that we are supposed to calculate, we don't have the length opposite to it. So sine BAC over 56.5 is equals to sine 94 over 78.4. Okay, so let's work this out. Let's calculate angle BAC. So BAC is equals to sine 94 divided by 78.4 into 56.5. So what do we get? We get 0.7189, 0.7189. Now remember, this is sine of BAC. BAC chahiye, so that means you'll have to take sine inverse of the answer. So sine inverse of the answer is equals to 45.964. So angle BAC is 45.964, which means correct to 1 decimal place, which we're supposed to give every angle. It's going to be 46.0. Now make sense of your answer also. This is an acute angle. The answer that we've gotten is an acute angle. And by the looks of it, it seems like an acute angle as well. Okay, so that means we're most likely correct. ठीक हो गया? Okay, now calculate the largest angle in triangle CAD. Okay, largest angle in triangle CAD. अब मुझे एक rule बताएं आप लोग. We have all the lengths, so the question was just setting us up for this part. It's 94.5. Okay, now question for you guys. Sorry, 98.5 meters, not degrees. Acha, what is the deal with the largest angle? Which angle do you think will be the largest? ठीक है, पेपर डिस्कशन करना ही बंद करें, कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होगा. What's done is done. You, me, or nobody can now change what has happened. Okay, what is still in our control, okay, what is still pretty much within our reach is the paper that's left, which is paper 4. Okay, so might as well focus on that. ठीक है, और इसका ये मतलब भी नहीं है अब आप मुझसे पूछना शुरू कर दें कि सर इसमें कितना स्कोर करें कि वो हो जाएगा. ठीक है, कोई गारंटी नहीं है कि आप उसमें इतना स्कोर कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, जिस तरह से P1 में नहीं थी, जिस तरह से P2 IGCSE P2 में नहीं थी, कोई गारंटी नहीं है. just focus, just do your best, simple as that. Okay, all right, so which angle will be the largest? Which angle will be the largest? It's angle C. Okay, angle C is basically the largest. So if this angle is the largest, what should we do? We are in a situation where we have all three sides, so that means we have to use cosine rule. ठीक है, देखो थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा काम तो है, लेकिन मेरा आपको मशवरा ये होगा कि आप बहुत रफली वो ट्रायंगल साइड में बना लें. Okay, so that you can sort of ignore everything else and focus on the shape that you have to deal with. So this is DCA or ACD, whatever you want to call it. This is 38.6. This is 78.4. Okay, and the third and the final side is 94.5. Okay, and this is the angle that we want. So how do we know that this is the largest angle? Largest angle is the angle that is opposite the largest side. Okay, remember this rule. Opposite the largest side. Or opposite the longest length. Simple. Okay. Now we are in a situation where we have all three lengths and we have to find out an angle. So what can we do? We have to use cosine rule. हाँ, इसमें इस question में shortest distance भी है. ठीक है. So cos of DCA or cos of DCA. अच्छा, remember the side that's opposite, the angle that you're trying to find out, is the only side that gets subtracted. The other two sides get added. ठीक है, तो ये rule याद रखना, plus plus minus का, के plus plus minus. Okay, and the same two sides that you add are the two sides that are divided in the denominator after being multiplied by 2. So that means 38.6 squared plus 78.4 squared minus 94.5 squared. Okay, and divided by 2 times 38.6, 78.4. Okay, so let's work this out. Let's see what we get. So here's what we get. 38.6 squared plus 78.4 squared minus 94.5 squared multiplied by 2 into 38.6 into 78.4. Let's take cos inverse of the answer. So we get 102 point something. So that means the answer to DCA is equals to 102.3 degrees. याद रखो angle का जो rule है, that is, it is to be given correct to one decimal place. Yes, this is cosine rule where we have made angle the subject. Okay, this is cosine rule where we have made angle the subject. Okay. Yes, बिल्कुल ECF नहीं बोलते उसको, अब हम follow through बोलते हैं. So you do get a follow through mark. Okay. All right. Now part B. Part B says just a second, yaar. Okay, yeah. 102.6 आ रहा है? नहीं बेटा, आप 102.3 आ रहा है और वही है करेक्ट आंसर. Either 102.3 और 102.4. हमेशा सोचता हूँ फ़ोन डिस्कनेक्ट करूँगा, आईपैड डिस्कनेक्ट करूँगा, भूल जाता हूँ. खैर, triangle PQR has the same area as triangle LMN. Calculate the shortest distance from R to the line PQ. Okay, now what's the shortest distance equal to? Shortest distance is equal to the perpendicular distance. Okay, so remember shortest distance is always the perpendicular distance. There you go. अच्छा बेटा, please stop asking for my prediction. My prediction is जिसका पेपर अच्छा हुआ है उसका अच्छा ग्रेड आएगा, जिसका अच्छा नहीं हुआ उसका अच्छा ग्रेड नहीं आएगा. Simple as that. ठीक है. So my prediction really doesn't mean anything. Okay. Anyway, so the shortest distance from R to the line PQ. Okay, so remember, shortest distance is the perpendicular distance. इसको हम कर देते हैं x. ठीक हो गया. अच्छा, अब let's find out the area of triangle LMN. So area of triangle LMN. So that would be equal to half into 21.5 into 27.6 into sine 111. Okay, so let's work this out. 0.5 into 21.5 into 27.6 into sine 111. Okay, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Yeah, O-level students, just make a habit of giving your calculator a hard reset. I hope you guys know how to do that. So what do we have? We have 276.99. So we're going to round this off. In fact, we're not going to round this off. Okay, this is not what we're supposed to give. We're going to keep this as it is. Achha, who's going to tell me how exactly am I going to incorporate this piece of information over here? Who's going to tell me how exactly am I going to use this piece of information into this part? Sir, when you stream the topic, I'll do it, inshallah, in the coming days. Equate it. Okay, but how? So area of triangle, irrespective of the formula that we use, area of the triangle will remain the same. The only difference is that this time we will use a slightly different formula. We will use half into base into height. Okay, so this time the formula that we're going to use is half times base, which is 34.3, into height, which is basically equal to the answer that we have gotten. Okay, but remember to use the answer key, or to use at least 5 significant figures. Okay, so let's multiply this by 2, and then let's divide it by 34.3. So we get the height, which is equal to 16.15. So x is equals to 16.15, which means it's equal to 16.2 centimeter. Okay, all right, let's move on. Achha, let's do a question which has a bit of 3D in it as well. 3D. वो होते हैं ना questions जिसमें एक 3D shape होता है और वो बोलता है कि angle निकालो. Those questions are fun. Let's do this. Okay. No, in fact, not this. This is too easy. Let's do this. Calculate the angle between CE and the base CDHG. Okay. Now, so the diagram shows a cuboid. HD is equals to 4 centimeter. That's right here. EH is equals to 6.5 centimeter. That's right here. EF is equals to 9.1 centimeter. Okay. Now, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to calculate the angle between CE and the base CDHG. Okay. Now, a good idea would be to always first draw the triangle. Okay. Whenever you come across a question like this, where you're supposed to calculate the length, or you're supposed to calculate the angle between a length and a surface. Okay. So the first step that we do is we identify an appropriate triangle. Okay, because unless you don't identify an appropriate triangle, you can't do that. Okay, so what's that appropriate triangle? That's right here. Okay. There you go. Whenever the question says, let's say you're given the diagonal of the 3D shape, and you're supposed to find out what angle that diagonal makes with the base. So we always take the diagonal of the base, unless stated otherwise. Okay, unless you're given a length categorically, so we consider that length. But if the question is asking what angle a certain length makes with the base, then in that case, what we use is, and if that length is basically the diagonal of the 3D shape, so we use the diagonal of the base also. Okay, हाँ tracing paper का बताएं मुझे. Tracing paper दे दिया था? Did they provide you with the tracing paper? And what about the ones who took their own tracing paper? Okay, so we've identified an appropriate triangle. Yes, I will be conducting paper 2 and paper 4 mocks. Okay, inshallah starting from tomorrow. Okay, so अभी मैंने almost आप लोगों का mock तैयार कर लिया. I was just collecting information about what has been tested. So उसी के हिसाब से I'll make a mock. I'll include the mocks that haven't been tested. Part दिया tracing paper. I was able to take. I took mine with the set they will provide it. चलें, that's nice. They gave the paper. दोनों cases allowed थे. ठीक है, सही है. All right. I'm pretty sure I'll be getting this question next year also. But anyway, so this is the triangle that we're dealing with. Okay, and the angle that we're supposed to calculate is this one. The angle that the base makes, the diagonal makes with the base. Acha, what's missing? There's a lot of missing information over here. If somehow I have this length, that will do the job. Acha, also don't forget that this will be a right angle triangle. Why will this be a right angle triangle? Because this is a vertical length and this is a length that's on the base, so it's going to be a right angle triangle. Okay, remember, whenever a horizontal length or a length on a horizontal surface meets a vertical line, it's always going to be a right angle triangle. Okay, keep that in mind. मैं आप लोगों को यहाँ पे दिखा भी देता हूँ. So if, for example, you take a cuboid, here it is. No, not this one. चलो cube ही ले लेते हैं, just to get the idea across. So for example, if the question says that find the length, find the angle that this diagonal makes with the base, so in that case, we have to consider a certain length on the base. And what's that length going to be? That's going to be none other than the diagonal on the base. Okay, so ABC. ABC is a right angle triangle, and where is the right angle? Obviously right here. Why is this right angle? Because this is a length that's drawn on a horizontal surface and it's meeting a vertical line. So at the vertex, there will be a right angle triangle. Okay, so don't forget that. अच्छा, फिर हम आ जाते हैं. Now let's calculate HC. Okay, how will I calculate HC? HC we will calculate using Pythagoras theorem. So HC will be equal to square root of 4 squared plus 9.1 squared. Yes, I am streaming M1 today at 7:15 p.m. inshallah. So be there. So square root of 4 squared plus 9.1 squared. So we get a certain length. Actually, let's see what it is before we take the square root. So it's equal to 98.81. Then once you take the square root of the answer, you get HC to be equal to 9.94. Now this is the missing piece of the puzzle. This is basically what you want, which you can now use to find out the angle. So tan is what we're going to use. Why? Because we have the opposite side and we have the adjacent side. So we're going to use tan. So tan of ECH is equals to opposite, which is 6.5 upon adjacent, which is 9.94. So let's see what do we get. Let's take tan inverse of 6.5 divided by 9.94. So we get 33.18, which is basically equal to 33.2 degrees. There you go. Okay, so this was question number 37. Let's see if there's another part to it. No, there isn't. ठीक हो गया. Remember, rule is angles are to be given correct to one decimal place. Okay, let's do another question. Let's do another one of those 3D related questions, but this time let's do a slightly more complicated one. Let's do this one. Sir, अगर हमारा syntax error आए तो क्या करें? That means आपने कुछ type करने में गड़बड़ की है. Will you be doing a past paper session? What do you guys want? Do you guys want me to solve a yearly past paper, or do you guys want me to do a mock? What do you guys think? I was thinking we do a mock. Okay, and mock में I include all the topics that haven't been tested in paper 1. क्या ख्याल है? चले, जब तक आप लोग बता रहे हैं. Isn't last answer 56.82? Nope, last answer is not 56.82. मैंने check भी कर लिया, it is the correct answer. Okay, so let's see what this says. The diagram shows a cuboid A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. AB is equals to 14, BC is equals to 5, and CG is equals to 8. M is the midpoint of HG. Okay, so that means if M is the midpoint of HG, so that means these are going to be 7 each. You got 33.0 used exact values. No, 33.2 ही आ रहा है बेटा. I'm looking at the marking scheme. It's 33.2. ठीक है? आपने probably कहीं और कुछ आपने round off कर लिया होगा or something like that. Okay, so BM. If I want to calculate BM, once again, I need an appropriate triangle. Okay, I need a relevant triangle which will help me calculate BM. And how many marks is this? It's a 3-mark question. Achha, a good idea would be, as always, to draw the triangle that you want separately. Achha, this is going to be a right angle triangle. Why? Because you have, this is drawn on the base, and then you're making a vertical line. So ये horizontal surface पे बनी है, ये vertical surface पे vertical line बनी है. ठीक है? So that means you will have a right angle triangle. Okay? Now, let's draw this triangle separately, and I'm going to call this point X for now. Okay, so for a minute, I'm going to call this point X. When you draw it separately, you'll get a better perspective. You'll get a perspective as to what we have and what it is that's missing. So MXB. So MX, okay, MX will be the same as CG or GC, which is equal to 8 centimeter. Achha, XB kya hai? We don't know, nor do we have MB or BM. In fact, that's what we're supposed to calculate. That's what this question is all about anyway. Okay, so let's somehow find out if we can calculate XB. Is it possible to calculate XB? Is there a certain triangle that we can consider which will help us calculate XC, sorry. XB, yeah. Is there a certain triangle that we can consider which will help us calculate XB? Yes, there is. And that triangle is basically XCB, which may not seem like it, but it's going to be a 90-degree triangle. And where will be the 90-degree angle? It's going to be at point C. Why is that? Because this is a vertex of the cuboid, okay? At every vertex, the angle is 90 degrees. So XCB is going to be a right angle triangle. Now, the question is, as far as CB is concerned, we all can see that as 5. But the question is, what is XC? XC is basically 7 centimeter. 7 centimeter, 7 centimeter, okay? Now, what we have to calculate is XB. So we can work that out. XB will be equal to square root of 5 squared plus 7 squared, or 7 squared plus 5 squared. So that's 35. 35 plus 25, which is equal to 60. Sorry, not 30. क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? 35 30 है. आज दिमाग बिल्कुल नहीं चल रहा. 25 plus 49, which is 74. Square root of 74. So XB is 74. Okay, so this was the missing piece of the puzzle. And now that we have the missing piece of the puzzle, we found the missing piece, we can calculate what the question wants. Notice that I've kept everything in exact form because who knows, my answer might turn out to be an integer. Let's see. So BM will be equal to square root of 8 squared plus root 74 squared. Now remember, when you take the square of root 74, so you just get 74. So square root of 8 squared plus 74, let's see what that is. That is equal to, yep, 11.7 is the correct answer. So BM is equals to 11.747, which means 11.7 is the correct answer. Okay? Sin theta. But angle का तो कुछ सीन ही नहीं है यहाँ पे, तो sin theta लगा के आपने क्या करना है? Angle, we don't want to calculate any angle, so why would you do that? No, I don't teach physics. Sir, math ASP1 got leaked. अच्छा, सही बताओ. I was getting 71. चलो, we'll talk about that in the M1 stream, inshallah. Okay, M1 stream at 7 p.m. We'll talk about that then. Add maths, inshallah, right after from the 7th onwards. Okay, from the 7th onwards. Calculate the angle BM makes with the base ABCD. Okay, अब एक काम करते हैं. Let's clear this mess up. Okay, let's take a screenshot. Let's bring this mess back. Let's paste the screenshot here. Let's crop it. Although we might have to redraw the lens, but it's always a good idea to start fresh. Calculate the angle that BM makes with the base ABCD. Now, in order to calculate the angle that BM makes with the base ABCD, obviously you want a certain length on the base. Achha, we might have to consider a triangle that we have already drawn. Okay, and that is basically BXM. Yeah, in fact, usi ko consider kar lete hain. So, in order to calculate the angle that this makes with the base, achha nahi, wait a minute. I will have to, let's see, I might have to draw this separately. Okay, calculate the angle that BM makes with the base. So let me clear this up. Tell me, what's the triangle that we should consider? Just tell me the triangle that we should consider. What if I wrote wrong answer on the blank and we are allowed to write on top of it? But itni dafa bataya hai ki if you write something, if you don't write the correct answer, then don't overwrite it. Okay, cross it out and write it on the side. Okay, cross it out and write it on the side. Okay, and that applies to everyone. Okay, so BXM, let's see. What kind of a triangle will that be? That will be a 90-degree triangle. ठीक है, सही कह रहे हैं आप लोग. So this we already have is 8. XB हम लोगों ने निकाल ली. That is, yeah, BMB अब तो हमारे पास we have options, plenty of options now. Now remember my advice that it's always a good idea to draw the triangle that you want on the side before you do anything else. So this is M, this is X, this is B, here is 90 degrees, this is 8, this is root 74. So that means we can use tan. So tan of B is equals to opposite upon adjacent. Okay, opposite upon adjacent. Let's see what do we get. So we take tan inverse of 8 upon root 74. What's that equal to? That's equal to 42.92, which correct to 1 decimal place. Okay, remember angles to be given correct to 1 decimal place is equal to 42.9. Okay, you guys were right. So won't we round off to 11.8? Nope, it's 11.747. 11.747 will become 11.7 only. Okay, let's do more of these 3D, 2D kind of questions. चलिए ये भी एक अच्छा सवाल है, यहाँ से करते हैं इसको. अच्छा, मेंसुरेशन आया है पेपर में? 3D मेंसुरेशन आई है पेपर में? दोनों बताएं स्टूडेंट्स, ओ लेवल्स वाले भी, IGCSE वाले भी. 2D आई है या 3D आई है? Yes, 90 degrees because the length on the base will be horizontal and the length the other is vertical. (2D आई है? 3D आई है? 3D I think O levels में आई है. 3D किस में आई है मुझे ये बताएं. 3D O levels में आई है, IGCSE में आई है? In P2 a sector came which asked us to calculate arc. So वो तो 2D हो गया, and P2 का मतलब है IGCSE. Okay, what about O levels? O levels में क्या है? ठहरो, मेरे पास लिस्ट है. Net grid of cube drawing. No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That doesn't count as mensuration. तो मैं वही तो पूछ रहा हूँ, 3D किस में आई है? अदर देन नेट्स के अलावा 3D किस में आई है? या ये जो हेमिस्फीयर वाला सवाल था ये किस में आया? IGCSE में आया या O levels में आया? 3D IGCSE में आया. ओके, इसका मतलब देख लेना, just go through it. You never know, you might get something slightly different in P4. Anyway, let's solve this question. So this question says a straight rod PQ is placed inside the cuboid. One end of the rod P is placed at the midpoint of AB. ठीक है. The other end of the rod Q rests on GH. HQ ratio OG is to 4:1. Okay, so that means this is 4:1. And what's the entire length? The entire length is basically 10 centimeter. Okay, so that means HQ will be equal to 4/5 of 10, which means it's equal to 8 centimeter. Okay, and QG will obviously be 10 minus 8, which is equal to 2 centimeter. So this is 8 centimeter and this is 2 centimeter. Okay, TK, I've gotten what I needed. IGCSE P2 is where 3D trigonometry was tested. Okay, thank you. All right. Now what we're supposed to do is we are supposed to calculate the length of the rod PQ. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to consider an appropriate triangle that will help you do that. Okay, now what is that appropriate triangle that we have to consider? Let's figure that out. So that appropriate triangle, I'm going to call this point X, is basically QXP. Okay, so let's draw this on the side, QXP. Okay, and the 90 degree is at X. So this is Q, this is X, this is P. Okay, now let's see what we can do now. We know that QX will be equal to 17. Okay. Acha, anything else that we can work out? Anything else that we can work out? Let's see. So how about this? Since this is 2 centimeter and since this is drawn directly underneath it, so that means this will also be 2 centimeter. Okay. This will also be 2 centimeter. Okay. And then what we can do is we can draw this triangle. So let's see how this will help. This may or may not help. Will this help? Let's see. So somehow if we can get PX or if we can get PX, if we can get PX, that will do the job for us. Okay. So here's what we can do. How many marks is this? This is a 4-mark question. Okay. Px is equals to 8 centimeter. Why will Px be equal to 8 centimeter? No, Px will not be equal to 8 centimeter. Okay, 8 centimeter to ye hogi. Okay, Px will not be equal to 8 centimeter because 8 centimeter is this length. This length is not parallel to this length. Because P is the midpoint, X is not the midpoint. Okay, so keep that in mind, X is not the midpoint. However, okay, I have an idea. No, Px is not 8, fellas. Px is not 8. Okay, Px is not 8. सब ये बात को बहुत अच्छे से समझ लें because x is not directly opposite of p. Okay, x is not directly opposite of p, so Px is not 8. So I have a better idea. If you take a point that is directly opposite of p, that length will be equal to 8 and then we can find out what this length is going to be. ठीक है, अच्छा, अब बहुत ज़रा गौर से सुनें. I want you guys to pay close attention. So एक काम करते हैं. Let's take another point, y. Okay, which is directly opposite of p. So if y is directly opposite of p, so that means this is 5 centimeter, okay, and this will also be 5 centimeter. Okay, they're not drawn to scale, but they will both be 5 centimeter each. Okay, now if they're both 5 centimeters each, okay, and if this is 2 centimeter, okay, if this is 2 centimeter, देखो मैं दोबारा बताता हूँ. मैं ना आप लोगों को इस शेप से ज़रा क्लियर कर देता हूँ. ओके, क्योंकि सवाल में ट्रिकी है ये. अब आप मुझे ये बताएं कि ये मिड पॉइंट है, ये मिड पॉइंट है. वेट अ मिनट. मिड पॉइंट. अब ये जो मैंने लेंथ अंदर बनाई है, दिस लेंथ विल बी इक्वल टू दीज लेंथ्स. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल AB, CD and whatever this length is, इसको हम बोल देते हैं EF. Okay, now these lengths will be equal. Why will these lengths be equal? Because these lines are, although not drawn to scale, these lines are parallel to each other. But the line that you have in our case is basically drawn like this. Okay, it's drawn like this. ठीक है, अब how is it possible that this length is equal to this length? Is it possible? Do you think it's possible for these two lengths that I've highlighted to be equal? No. However, if I take this as the midpoint, okay, and I draw a line exactly opposite to it, then this length and this length will be the same. Okay, so please understand this point very well, that unless the point is directly opposite, the length will be the same. Yes, this is a difficult question. Okay, this is a difficult question, which is exactly why I'm solving it. Okay, now, so here's what I've done. I've drawn a point. Now P is the midpoint. I've drawn a point directly opposite of P, which means this is 5 and this is also 5. Okay, now if this is 5 centimeter and part of 5 is 2 centimeters, so that means this will be equal to 3 centimeter. Okay, this will be equal to 3 centimeter. Now how does this help? Pay attention. This is how it helps. So I'm going to draw PYX separately, and that will solve the missing piece of the puzzle. So here's P, here's Y, here's X. This is 3 centimeter. Okay, once again, Deklo, why is this 3 centimeter? This is 5. Why is this 5? Because Y is directly opposite of P and P is the midpoint. And XC is 2 centimeter. And if this is 5 and this is 2, that means this will be 3 centimeter. Okay, now PY is equal to 8 centimeters. So that means we can find out PX, which will be equal to square root of 8 squared plus 3 squared. Okay, so square root of 64 plus 9, which is equal to 73. Okay, so हमारे पास क्या आ गया? हमारे पास PX आ गया. So this is 73. Now let's see if we can calculate PQ. So PQ will be equal to square root of root 73 squared, root 73 squared plus 17 squared. So PQ is equals to, let's work it out, see what do we get. Square root of 73 plus 17 squared, so that's equal to root 362, which is equal to 19.026. And what's that equal to? PQ is equals to 19.0. ठीक है, कोई साथ में check भी कर ले if we've done it correctly. This is 68 part D. Although I'm quite confident. Yep, we have done it correctly. So it's 19.0 centimeter. ठीक हो गया? समझ आया? Any questions? So just give me 1 minute. For some reason, my screen band ho gaya, so I really can't see what's on the screen. So just 1 minute. Okay, just a minute. Okay, and we're back. एक सेकंड यार. Okay, sorry about that. All good now. All right, so I'll give you guys a question to solve. आप लोग solve करें. This question. Go ahead and solve this question. Mock timings कल इंशाल्लाह पता चल जाएंगे. I'll probably keep it earlier, like 2 p.m. something, because कल मेरा 7 o'clock पे एक event है, so I can't keep a stream at night. So I'll keep it early inshallah. Probably 2 p.m. 2 p.m.ish. 2 hours for you guys to... No, wait, that will also be late. Let's see. I'll let you guys know. Okay, in the meantime, I'd like you guys to solve this question. My video is lagging. Yeah, I know it's a little messed up right now. But, sir, can you please live stream revision like today or tomorrow? Today, I am doing a live stream on M1. I'm doing... what am I doing today? Today, I am doing... क्या कर रहा हूँ आज मैं? Momentum. Yes, today we're doing momentum, inshallah. आपको भी invite कर दूँ. चलें, okay, next time. Sir, can you please live... Okay, I've already answered that. Sir, why are we doing past papers? Then what do you want to do then? If you don't want to do past papers, what do you want to do? P1 solve कर दें? You mean... नहीं, not momentum in maths, बेटा momentum M1 का. ठीक है, फिर आप अपने टीचर को मैसेज करना शुरू कर देंगे कि ये क्या टॉपिक है, आपने कराया नहीं. सर अगर P14024 मुश्किल लगा you guys... अच्छा ओके, बाकी सबसे कह रहे हैं. Sir, can someone survive further maths without admaths? No, I don't recommend further maths. Further maths, I only recommend to students if throughout their life they have never been challenged by any form of math, only then will I recommend that you take further math. Otherwise, don't. This is from IGCSE, Khatija. This is from IGCSE. Okay, you can please download the link in the PDF. In the PDF, you'll find 2 PDFs. One is IGCSE past papers compiled, the other is O-level past papers compiled. So then the question says, given that the diagonal BH makes, calculate the angle the diagonal BH makes with the face ADHE. Okay, now this is interesting because we are supposed to calculate the diagonal the base makes, the diagonal makes with this face. So that means अब हमें यहाँ पे एक separate triangle consider करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? And what is the triangle that we are going to consider? The triangle that we are going to consider is this triangle. And which angle will be right angled? The right angled triangle will be at A. Why is that? I'll explain. Because this is a horizontal surface, ये एक horizontal line है. This is a vertical surface. So when these two meet, the angle formed will be a 90-degree angle. ठीक है? अगर आपको doubt है, तो आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं. So basically what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to calculate the angle the diagonal makes with this, with this, okay? So that is why the triangle that we are considering is basically this triangle right here. Okay, and if you look closely at this triangle, you will notice that this is a right angle triangle. Okay, and where is the right angle? This is where the right angle is. Why? Because this is the base, this is the perpendicular, and this is the hypotenuse. ठीक हो गया? ओके, वाई नॉट बी एच डी? बेटा बी एच डी में तो देखो बेस के साथ जो एंगल बनेगा वो बेस पे कोई लाइन चल रही होगी वो होगा ना, बेस के एच पे थोड़ी होगा. ओके, द एंगल दैट द डायगोनल मेक्स विद द बेस हैज़ टू बी विद अ लाइन दैट्स on the base itself, not on the edge of the base. Okay, not on the edge, but on the base itself. Okay, so and remember I gave you guys a rule also that if you're supposed to calculate the angle that a diagonal makes with a certain face, so you always take the diagonal of that face. Okay, or you always take a length that's on that face. Okay, not the edge of that face. Okay, not the edge of that face, it has to be on that face. Okay, now let's draw this separately. Let's see what we're dealing with. So what we're dealing with is something like this. अच्छा, इसको मैं थोड़ा रोटेट करके बना रहा हूँ. Here. So this is the right angle which is at A. This is B and this is H. Okay. So AB we're given is 15.1. Okay. Now AH we will have to calculate. Okay, but the question is how will I calculate AH? For AH we'll have to use some other triangle, and that triangle is basically this one right here, which will also be a right angle triangle. Okay, so we'll draw a separate triangle at HEA. There you go. So HEA. We'll draw a triangle here. This is 90 degrees. Okay. Now what's HE going to be? HE is going to be 4.5 centimeter. Okay. And what about EA? EA is going to be 9.2 centimeter. There you go. So we can calculate AH. So AH will be equal to square root of 9.2 squared plus 4.5 squared. Okay, so let's work out AH. So AH is equal to square root of 9.2 squared plus 4.5 squared, that's equal to 10.2415. So AH is equals to 10.2415. Okay, so since it's not the final answer, that's why I'm not rounding it off. Now we can use this to calculate the angle that BH makes with the base. So we can now use tan. So tan of H is equals to opposite, which is 15.1, upon the adjacent, which is 10.2415, or you can use the answer key also. So 15.1 divided by the answer, let's take tan inverse of it. So we get 55.85, which is equal to 55.6 degrees. Okay, what question number is this? This is 56. Let's see if we've done it correctly. Oopsie. ठहरो, आई थिंक मैंने कहीं पे कुछ राउंड ऑफ करने में गड़बड़ कर दी शायद. 9.2 squared plus 4.5 squared. 15.1 over square root of 9.2 squared plus 4. अच्छा, okay, I took 9.4 instead of 9.2. $55.85 आ रहा है, which is equal to 55.9. So square root of 9.2 squared plus 4.5 squared, that's equal to 10.2415. Yep, it's correct. Okay, we've done it correctly. Anyway, now let's do another question. एक क्वेश्चन था जिसमें डायगोनल जो है ना वो शेप से ही बाहर निकल रहा था. This seems like a good question. Yeah, so let's do this. So go ahead, I'll give you guys a few minutes to work this out. This is a 6-mark question. बेटा AS की अभी मेरी M1 की स्ट्रीम है ना, उसमें बात करते हैं. Which saloon do you go to for your beard? Good question. अच्छा ये बताएं बेरिंग का कोई क्वेश्चन आया था? Was there a question on bearing? Yes, I will take a mock for paper 2 also and paper 4. Don't worry about it. अच्छा ये O levels वाले बोल रहे हैं या IGCSE वाले बोल रहे हैं or both? In construction? Okay, great. No bearing in P2. So no bearing in IGCSE paper 2? दोनों में आई थी sir. What to do if P1 not go as well? Like I'm expecting a 75. So beta, don't you already know the answer to that? Don't you already know the answer to that? We had to measure it with a protractor. Okay. So you can expect a full length 3D trigonometry related question which has 3D or 2D like the ones that we're doing right now, which has bearing in it. That you can expect. Yes, I will do add math streams also. Don't worry about it. We'll do plenty of add math streams as well. No question. Yeah, I'm aware of that. No question of sets and Venn diagram. So expect that in paper 2 and paper 4. Sir, no number sequences and graphical solutions. That I am also aware. IGCSE में भी नहीं आया number sequences. ये बताएं मुझे IGCSE में आया था नंबर सीक्वेंसेस? आया था? IGCSE had number sequences. Okay. The number sequence. What about graphical solutions of equations? I'm not talking about cubic graphs. I'm not talking about वो quadratic curve जो sketch करना था. Was there like a proper question on graphical solutions where you had to draw a tangent and stuff like that? पेपर का थ्रेशोल्ड हाई एज थ्रेशोल्ड की अभी बात नहीं हो रही. ठीक है. अच्छा. Yes, IGCSE में आया था graphical solutions of equations. You had to draw like a tangent or you had suitable straight line था? Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Acha, what about... So I think I have a fair bit of idea. What about graphs of inequalities? Was there graphs of inequalities? Sir, how much can I get in the method mark? बेटा मैं कोई आपका पेपर थोड़ी है मेरे सामने जो मैं आपको बताऊं कि आपको कितने मार्क्स आ रहे हैं. No sir, sequences didn't appear so as interior angles. ठीक है. Sir, please take the first threshold correlated. बेटा मैं नहीं बता सकता. मतलब अगर आपको गलत फहमी में रहना है तो फिर हाँ मैं बता सकता हूँ लेकिन वैसे मैं नहीं बता सकता. So can we expect vectors in P2? Not really. अगर आ गया already तो go through कर लेना. ठीक है, but not really. A small question with term and next term finding number. There was a question? अच्छा हाँ ठीक है, अभी आप लोगों ने बताया ना sequences था. खैर anyway, चलो let's solve this question. Let's see what this question says. The diagram shows a cuboid AB is equals to 8 centimeter. All right, AD is equals to 6 centimeter. Okay, DH is equal to 6 centimeter. ठीक हो गया. Calculate angle HAF. Okay, now before we can calculate angle HAF, it's a 6-mark question, by the way. Okay. Okay. So because it's a 6-mark question, that means there's probably a lot of working that we have to do. So don't forget that this is also 6 centimeter, and don't forget that this is 8, and if this is 8, then this is also 6. Okay. So one by one, let's calculate AH. So AH will basically be equal to 6 squared plus 6 squared inside the square root, obviously. Okay, why? Because it's a right angle triangle right here. ठीक हो गया. So 6 square plus 6 square is 36. 36 plus 36 is 72, which is basically 6 under root 2. Okay, you can use your calculator to work it out. It's 6 under root 2 for sure. Okay, now let's calculate AF. So AF will be equal to square root of 8 squared plus 6 squared. Okay, so AF will be equal to square root of 8 squared plus 6 squared, which is equal to 10 centimeter. There you go. Achha, then let's calculate HF. Now HF also, you don't have to do any extra working. HF will also be the same 10 centimeter, but just to be on the safe side, let's do the relevant working. So 8 squared plus 6 squared. So that means HF is equals to 10 centimeter as well. ठीक हो गया. अच्छा, अब let's consider the triangle. Okay, so this is the triangle. This is H, this is F, and this is A. Okay, so AH, we calculated to be 6 under root 2. This has 10, this is 10. The angle that we want is HAF. So what are we going to use? We're going to use cosine rule. Okay, a good idea would be to draw this on the side so we have plenty of space available. So cos of HAF. Now remember the rule, only the side that's opposite to the length that you want is, to the angle that you want, is the side that gets subtracted. The other two are basically added. So that means 6 under root 2 squared plus 10 squared minus 10 squared, which will basically cancel out each other, divided by 2 times 6 under root 2 times 10. Okay, so let's work this out. 6 under root 2, the whole thing squared, plus 10 squared minus 10 squared over 2, 6 under root 2 times 10. Then we take cos inverse of the answer. So we have HAF, which is equal to 64.89. So that's going to be 64.9 degrees, correct to 1 decimal place. ठीक हो गया. बेटा एसिम्पटोट अब आप वीडियो देख लें, वैसे तो कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. ठीक है, पूरे साल शायद आप सो रहे थे, बट अब आप वीडियो देख सकते हैं. और दुखी होंगे आप वीडियो देख के, तो मैं तो सजेस्ट करूँगा आप ना ही देखें. Okay, let's do one more question and then we'll call it a day. अच्छा चलें, एक जाते आते ओ लेवल्स का भी क्वेश्चन कर ही लेते हैं. ओ लेवल्स में बेरिंग आया था, आप लोगों ने क्या जवाब दिया था? Was there a question on bearing in O levels? Yes or no? So let's do this question and then we'll wrap things up. O level में I think आया था bearing. ठहरें, मैंने एक लिस्ट बनाई है. O levels में आया था bearing. Yes, ठीक है. हाँ, तो bearing आ सकता है, because bearing is, if there is a question on trigonometry, so you can expect a trigonometry related question also. Okay. All right, so go ahead, solve this. You messed up? Where did I mess up? IGCSE had bearing? ठीक है. So let's solve this. सीक्वेंस अगर नहीं आया था जो कि ओ लेवल्स में मुझे लग रहा है कि नहीं आया था, सो इट इज़ पॉसिबल ऑब्वियसली. Whatever hasn't been tested is very likely to be tested. Okay. Whatever has been tested can also be tested. ठीक है, तो तैयारी आप पूरी की करें बेटा. अब एसिम्प्टोट पढ़ने का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. ठीक है. एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड एसिम्प्टोट, प्लीज़ वॉच माय वीडियो ऑन इट. नो नीड टू स्पैम. We want a story time. चलें, after the exam, during the summer break. ठीक है. A pyramid question. चलें, इसके बाद, if we have time, we'll do a pyramid question. Okay, so I'll solve this question now. Calculate PS. So for PS, we have a complete pair, but we need a side and we have the angle opposite to it. So PS upon sine 74 is equals to 15 over sine 67. Okay, now we can work out PS. So PS will be equal to 15 divided by sine 67, okay, into sine 74. So that's PS, which is equal to 16.04. Okay, so 16.0 is good enough. So then the question says that PSR is equal to 96. So that means this is what the question is saying. Okay, so PSR is equals to 96 degrees. Okay. 15.7. Are you sure about that? 15.7 to nahi aa raha. Acha, show that SR is equals to 10 centimeter. Correct to one decimal place. Acha, also the question says 15.6. ठहरो मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ, हो सकता है मैंने कुछ कैलकुलेशन एरर कर लिया. 15 divided by sine 67 into sine 74. 16 यही आ रहा है. Okay, यही आ रहा है. ठहरो, I'll check it also. It's possible that maybe I've made a calculation error or something. Just a minute. अच्छा, you guys are actually right. You guys are actually right. 15 divided... Oh, मैं 64 कर रहा हूँ calculator में. It's supposed to be 67. You guys are right. Sorry. Into sine 74. So 15.66 is the correct answer, which is going to be 15.7. ठीक है, sorry यार, आज ज़रा दिन अच्छा नहीं गुजरा. 15.66, which is equal to 15.7. हाँ, 3 मार्क गए मेरे. सही बात है. So then the question says PSR is equals to 96 and the area of the triangle QRS is 63 centimeters square. Show that SR is equal to 10.0, correct to one decimal place. Okay, now first things first, let's calculate this angle. Okay, we can calculate this angle, which is basically QSP. So angle QSP will be equal to 180 minus 74 minus 67. 180 minus 74 minus 67. 180 minus 74 minus 67, that's equal to 39 degrees. So angle QSP is equals to 39 degrees. So here we are, 39 degrees. So then the question says, show that SR, if this is 39, so let's do 96 minus 39, that's equal to 57. So that means this is 57. And the question has also given us the area of triangle QRS, which is equal to 63. So if this area is equals to 63, what formula can we use to calculate area? We can use half AB sine C. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do half times AB, that means 15 times SR into sine of 57. And I will equate this with the area that's given, which is 63. So let's work this out. 63 times 2 divided by 15. Okay, and also divided by sine 57. So that's equal to 10.0, correct to one decimal place. Okay, so just so you guys know what I've done, 63 times 2 is 126. So 126 divided by 15 times sine 57. So SR is equal to 10.015, which is 10.0, correct to one decimal place. There you go. ठीक है, easy है. 10.0 correct to one decimal place. Read the question. It says 10.0 correct to one decimal place. चलिए, अब किसी ने एक पिरामिड के क्वेश्चन की रिक्वेस्ट की तो उस रिक्वेस्ट को और एंटरटेन कर लेते हैं और फिर इसको कॉल ऑफ करते हैं. चलो, ये एक अच्छा सवाल है. हेक्सागोनल बेस्ड पिरामिड. अच्छा, क्या निकालनी है हमने? इसकी वॉल्यूम निकालनी है. इसका मतलब है बेस एरिया टाइम 1/3 इंटू बेस एरिया टाइम्स हाइट. हाँ, चलो ये कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. सो इट्स प्रॉब्ली सेटिंग अस अप फॉर द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. So let's see what this question says. The diagram shows a regular pentagon. So sorry, this is a pentagon-based pyramid, not a hexagon. The diagram shows a regular pentagon ABCD with E with center O. OA AB is equals to 6 and OA is equals to D. Show that D is equals to 5.10 correct to 2 decimal place. Okay, so this is a regular pentagon. If it's a regular pentagon, so first of all, remember that all angles will be equal to 108. Why 108? Because of the rule, which is 5 minus 2 into 180 will give you the sum divided by 5. Okay, so is it 108? Let me confirm. 3 times 180 divided by 5. Yep, it's equal to 108 degrees. Now, will this 108 help? No, not so much. However, because it's a regular pentagon, then what we can do is this. जो center वाला angle होगा, the center angle will be split into 5. Okay, the angle at the center will be split into 5. Why? Because it's a regular pentagon, so that means it will have a rotational symmetry of order 5, and if it has a rotational symmetry of order 5, that means all these triangles will have an equal angle. And how will I work this out? I will work this out by taking 360 and dividing it by 5. So what's 360 divided by 5? That's equal to 72 degrees. Okay. Now, let's delete this. Let's take a screenshot of this. Let's bring that back. Let's use the screenshot here. Here we go. Okay, now, we are supposed to show that D is equals to 5.10. So we work this out to be 72. Okay, now we can calculate these angles. Please don't make the mistake of taking 108 and dividing it by 2. We clearly don't know whether this angle will be divided into 2 or not. So we'll do 180 minus 72 divided by 2. Let's see what's that equal to. 180 minus 72 divided by 2. That's equal to 54. Okay, it is 54, but don't make this a standard rule. Now we're supposed to calculate D. Acha, ab D kaise calculate kare? Here's what we can do. So D upon sine 54 is equal to 6 upon sine 72. Okay, so if you've done this correctly, we should get the correct answer. So 6 upon sine 72 multiplied by sine 54, what's that equal to? That's equal to 5.10 correct to 1 decimal place. Correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, there you go. All right, now, volume of pyramid. Calculate the volume of pyramid. Now, volume of pyramid, we know very well, is 1/3 times base area times height. Now, base area basically means area of pentagon. Okay, now, does anyone here knows the formula for calculating area of pentagon? I'm pretty sure nobody here knows how to calculate the area of pentagon. So, what we're going to do is we're going to divide this into familiar shapes. We're going to divide this into familiar shapes. Because nobody knows the formula for calculating area of pentagon, but everybody here knows how to calculate the, sorry, I think I said volume. So nobody here knows how to calculate the area of a pentagon, but I'm sure everybody here knows how to calculate the area of a triangle. Okay, so here's what we can do. Since we already know that D is equals to 5.10, so that means we can do half times 5.10 times 5.10 into sine 72. And how many of these do we have? We have 6 of these. So we can then just multiply it by 6. Sorry, not 6, 5 of these. Okay, so let's work this out. 5.10 into 5.10 into sine 72 divided by 2. So we have 12.387. So that means 1/3 into 12.387 into the height. Are we given the height? Acha, okay, interesting. It's a 5-mark question. We don't have the height. Okay. So how can we calculate the height of this pentagon? Let's see. For that, we will have to consider a relevant triangle. So this is the triangle that I've chosen. That is basically OFE. So OFE is the triangle that will give me the height, the missing piece of the puzzle. So this is O, this is F, this is E. Okay, so what's OE equal to? We just worked that out. That's equal to 5.10. Okay, what's every sloping edge equal to? That's equal to 14 centimeters. So we can now calculate the height. So height would be equal to square root of 14 squared minus 5.10 squared. Okay, so square root of 14 squared minus 5.10 squared, that's equal to 13.038. 13.038. ठीक है, ये वो missing piece था. Now that we have this missing piece, half into 12.387 into 13.038. Let's see what do we get. I forgot to multiply by 5. Yep, I did multiply it by 5. I didn't multiply by 5. I think you're right. I think you're right. I didn't multiply it by 5. ठहरो अभी कर लेते हैं. So 12.387 12.387 5.10 into 5.10 into sine 72. हाँ आप सही कह रहे हैं. I forgot to multiply it by 5. So I'll do it right now. 12.387 into 5. या मैं एक काम करता हूँ, मैं इधर working में ही दिखा देता हूँ that you have to multiply it by 5. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so height was the missing piece of the puzzle, and now that we have found out the height, okay, that's 13.038. So let's use that height. Okay. Into 13.038 divided by 3. So we get 269.1651. Let's see if that's the correct answer. 269. That's correct. So 269, correct to 3 significant figures, but prior to that, 269.169 centimeter cube. Okay. Yes, I do. Inshallah, tonight I will upload a video where you will have all the important topics for O-level math paper 2 and IGCSE math paper 4. Okay. You'll have that video uploaded inshallah tonight. Okay. So I'll stop here. Tomorrow onwards, inshallah, I'll be starting mocks and some more streams. I'll try to solve some yearly past papers also, some difficult ones, some really difficult ones. Maybe I'll do the mini series. The mini series was a very difficult paper. Okay. So take care, everyone. See you guys, inshallah, in the next stream. Keep studying, okay? So don't reach out to people and ask them, "Bhai, I'm losing so many marks in P1 or P2. What should I score in the next paper?" That's a pointless debate. Okay, no point in debating about threshold, no point in debating about what marks or discussing what marks you need to score. You need to score as good as possible. Simple as that. Okay. Achha, how to practice new paper pattern? Do the practice papers, do all the specimen papers, do the Feb March paper if you have it. So do that, and that will help, inshallah. Okay. So that's it, fellas. See you in the next one. Take care. Allah Hafiz.